My personal education ideology. The framework devised by Bartlett and Burton sets ideologies into three prominent categories: knowledge, individual, and society. The current government's ideology heavily focuses on a knowledge-based education, of which I strongly oppose. As a sociology student, I naturally reside with an education that focuses on society. I believe that all institutions and people alike are required to play a part in society, and education's part is to reinstate the norms and values needed for correct societal functioning. This allows us to create individuals and workers alike that meet the needs of our society. However, since extensively studying the purpose of education and the different ideologies surrounding the purpose of education, I've come to value the growth of the individual, and I believe that a focus on the individual allows for a deeper education and a more confident being, that in turn will benefit society for the greater good. Therefore, when categorised into Bartlett and Burton's theory, my ideology lies between an education that focuses on the growth of the individual and education that focuses on the needs of society. So what is a learner's role in the education system? In line with the heutagogical approach, I believe students should be free to determine their own educational pathways. Through my own experience of education, I have found learners being forced to participate in subjects they don't enjoy, or being forced to learn at the same rate as all other learners, can be detrimental to confidence and have lifelong consequences. Therefore, I believe all students should be free to determine their own educational pathways. This involves them choosing what they learn and how they learn it, and the rate at which they study. This should allow for a confident and successful being. So what is the role of a teacher? Whilst many individual-focused ideologies highlight the teacher solely to guide, I believe this could obstruct with the societal functions. Although teachers should not have full control over what and how a student learns, they should still have a prominent role in the student's education. For me, the role of a teacher is to create a bond with the student. They should form relationships, particularly with the younger ages, so that social norms and values can be installed. This will allow socialisation to occur. The installation of these norms and values are often referred to as the hidden curriculum. An element of education I believe is paramount to the development of a confident and well-respected individual. It is undisputed that the current education system heavily focuses on assessment, and I believe this is very damaging to the individual in many ways. Exam stress describes the emotional, psychological, and behavioural responses caused by exams. Psychologist Maddox noted how exam stress exacerbates and sometimes causes ill mental health. Biesta also notes how a current focus on exams causes severe stress to students. In her book, I Used to Know That, Taggart states how she has forgotten 90% of what she learnt in schools for the purpose of exams. This highlights how students only learn the information necessary for exams, which in fact prevents them from gaining a holistic and deeper understanding of information. Similarly to Montessori, in my own education ideology, there would be an abolishment of examinations, not only because of the stress to mental health, but also because of the barriers it creates into forming a better education. In replacement of examinations, I believe educational qualifications should form from consistent observation by the educators. Learners should be observed through their abilities, motivations and understanding, rather than a simple reciting of factual knowledge. Through this, less stress is caused, which allows a student to feel more confident and comfortable in their learning environment. It also allows for a greater and deepening understanding, as the students can cover more topics that interest them, because they do not have to focus on what is going to occur in the exam. A way of implementing the self-determined learning approach within the education system is the SIDE model. Composed of 4 sections, the SIDE model begins with students. Self-determined learning derives from the heutagogical approach towards education, of which I strongly agree with. Students are the heart of education, and therefore I believe they should be the centre of learning styles. This is linked to what I have previously said about students being able to design their own education. Within this, students have control over the learning styles they experience. The current technological era which we experience allows students to have a great access to source of information thus giving them unlimited access to create their own educational pathways. The instructor should be an aid towards the students, helping them through their education and the path in which they choose to take. The third component is design. As I've already discussed, students should be able to choose the design of their course. They should be able to choose how they learn, what they learn, and when they learn. Experimental learning very well summarises my own beliefs on education. With students with free will to devise their own education, they are free from judgment of right and wrong. They can learn through trial and error. This prevents the judgments and stereotypes that often lead to educational processes we have come to know, such as streaming and labelling, that have seen to have detrimental effects towards a student's educational success and personal growth and confidence. Although I have discussed how I believe educators should reproduce the norms and values we hold within our society, similar to Rousseau, I don't believe that students should reproduce our society. I believe they should transform it. By giving students the ability to grow their own personality and to grow confident, they are able to transform society into a better place. In a modern society, job roles are ever changing. Robin Alexander implied education should give the skills needed for a modern society, and I believe my educational ideology does this justice. By allowing the growth of the individual and nurturing the confidence of the learner, the abilities they acquire are invaluable to our society, such as leadership, imagination, and teamwork. This can allow our society to be improved in the future, with learners moving on to become inventors and philosophers and teachers that will only benefit us. This holistic and fulfilling education allows this to occur. To conclude, I believe education should focus on the growth of the individual in order to create a functional and beneficial society. Learners should have control over their own education and teachers should be there for support and influence. Exams should be removed and assessment should be based on individual understandings, abilities and motivations. The slide model is heavily linked to my own ideology and highlights how it could be implemented within the education system. Through doing this, learners can meet the needs of our future society and become strong people who contribute to a successful society.